Is Scenario the greatest? Because this is an argument. Some people say Scenario is the greatest Posse cut.
I think it is probably the greatest. You know, and I don't want to say that just because, you know, I'm on the record,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that song got recorded like 3 times. You know what I'm saying? There was one time we came in the room and I heard De La Soul verses on it. I heard a Chris Lighty verse on it, God bless his soul.
Chris Lighty was spitting?
Chris Lighty had a rhyme on the Scenario.
Was it nice?
It was all right.
So he trying to get in the game?
Yeah, Chris was just fucking around.
Right.
But everybody knew how special that record was.
Right.
So everybody wanted in.
Right.
Who was MC Hood?
Hood was a homeless dude that Tip had met. I think it was like a couple of days before we actually did the remix version. And I don't know where he met him at. I think it was right outside the studio. And he was a homeless brother that was a real street. That's why if you listen to the song, the verse, the shit he's saying ain't nobody else talking about on the song. Hood is just talking about the most relentless shit. Right. Hood, madman, I rip up stages, wild like Larry Davis. You know, I tear ass out the frame.
Right.
I'm a rock sock robot kid, I drop bombs. He just talking about beefing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He about to kill a brick.
Yeah, he
Hood ain't playing. Hood is not playing.
This nigga's crazy. Now, but Hood, unfortunately, died like 3 days after his verse.
Yeah.
So he never even got to hear the song finished. And he was a good dude, man. He was funny, but a dead serious dude.
Right.
Like you could tell he was going through a lot of hardship.
Right.
And he got shot and killed like a couple of days later. Tip had a vision for this song, and the vision was brilliant as hell. He knew that he was calling a Scenario. He knew what he was doing with that hook. He knew what he was doing with the beat. The time that record was released, that was the pinnacle of boom bap.
Man.
And he was one of the gods of the boom bap. And it just was, everything was in the favor of Tribe.
But Tribe, man, like I want to talk about your relationship with Q-Tip and how you wanted to be part of that movement, man.
I always wanted to be in Tribe because Tribe was where I went. Battery Studios and Q-Tip's crib and being at Fife crib and fucking with them all the time was where I went to escape the dumb shit I was going through with leaders.
Right.
So every time we had a beef with leaders, I'd be like, fuck y'all niggas, I could go fuck with Tribe. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
We was both 4-man crews. You know, it was me, Brown, and Dink, and Malo, and it was, you know, Jerobi, Tip, Fife, and Ali.
Right.
So it was just like the same shit. I was comfortable, same environment, I was familiar with the same infrastructure. It's just they beats was just way more slapping than our shit.
Right.
And I was always inspired to write when I was around Tribe. So whenever I was going through the shit that I was going through with leaders, I would go get with Tribe to get the embrace being who I was and not having to compromise that. And they embraced all of it to the point where they put me on like 10 fucking features on all the Tribe albums.
Oh my God.
So I was like the unofficial fifth Tribe member because
oh my God.
It was just so many records.
Right.
Oh my God, God Lives Through,
Right.
1, 2 shit.
And that shit fit.
Everything worked. Everything worked. Like
fit.
whatever we did together just worked.
Yeah.
I will never forget the day that I heard the Low End Theory and the Midnight Marauders album.
What?
Mm-hmm. I cried when I heard them albums. Tip was the only dude that made me cry when I heard the album. Pharrell got this album too that he ain't put out yet. It's like a documentary album where he's like talking about inner city strife and just hardship. But he got this Curtis Mayfield swag going on the whole album, like 10 songs. That's the only other album to make me cry. Like I just, you know when you wish you made some shit so bad, that shit hurt, because it ain't your shit?
Right.
Pharrell and Tribe did that to me.
Right.
They're the only 2 groups to do that to me.
You had a great relationship with Chris Lighty, man. Y'all rocked for 22 years, right?
Yes.
How was that relationship, man?
Chris was like my father and my big brother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there really is no other way to describe that relationship.
Like
You know,
he raised you through this industry.
he gave birth to what I became as a solo artist because I had a proper support system with the right management and the right timing and just everything was right. Then Chris brought in Mona Scott and it was him and Mona. Mona was with me for 17 years. Chris was with me for the entire 22.
Right.
And, you know, Mona is like the mother of my career and Chris is like the father and big brother of my career. And I don't think there will ever be a Chris Lighty replacement.
Right.
He's the last dude to really give a fuck about hip hop shit. You get what I'm saying? Like in this day and age.
Like the artistry,
Yeah.
the cultivation.
When you couldn't get somebody to stand next to an Uncle Murder, Chris did. You feel me?
When you could get somebody to stand next to 50,
Chris did.
Because nobody wanted to stand next to 50.
Chris did.
Right.
He gave a fuck.
What happened, man? Like, what was your last conversation with him? Did you?
My last conversation with Chris was the day before he died. I come to meet Bubba in the office, and Bubba was Chris's assistant and had been promoted to being my day-to-day rep at Violator. And Bubba is a workout junkie too. So Chris said he wanted to train the next day. So he told Bubba to organize the time and prepare his gym shit so we could do the workout the next day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this young lady named Tamika, that was Chris's assistant, she was sitting by the phone that she usually answers on behalf of Violator.
Right.
Chris leans over my shoulder and he tells her, 3 o'clock tomorrow, rearrange my schedule. I'm going to the gym with Bus and Bubba. She says, cool. So I dropped Chris off at Grand Central Station around 5 o'clock, 5 something that evening. He said he had to go and meet his daughter. I go to the studio, we work, everything's cool. The next morning, I get a call from Mona Scott, sounding crazy on the phone, saying, tell me it ain't true, tell me it ain't true, tell me it ain't true. So I didn't know what she was talking about.
Right.
So I'm like, tell you what ain't true. So she said something happened to Chris. I said, I'm gonna call you back. So I call the Violator office and Tamika answers the phone and she's crying on the phone. And I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
What happened to Chris? She said, Chris hurt himself. I said, where is Chris? She said, he's at the house. I hung up on her. I'm saying, if he at the crib, he ain't hurt himself that bad.
Right.
You hurt yourself in the serious, you're supposed to be in the hospital.
Right.
So me and Bub rode to Chris's crib, and when you saw the police car out there and the different people out there, and Mona and Q-Tip, but Mona came back and confirmed that he had died and he was still in the house.
Right.
That's when the retarded shit started to kick in for me. So I think it still didn't register all the way until you saw them bring his body out of the house.
And you
know
saw
what I'm
that.
saying? Yeah. So that's when it was strange. And it's still strange because I think the strangest thing about the whole problem of his passing to me is that, you know, I just think it was handled a little weird. And
By the family or by the authorities or by the press?
by the authority.
Right.
You know, I think it was handled weird, you know. And I think that there's unresolved questions that still needs to be answered. And I don't think anybody that really loves Chris or that really knows how things played out that day in front of that house is gonna rest easy until there's an explanation for why things played out the way they did at that house the day that he passed. So with that being said, you know, whatever research that I can do to continue to find out the truth, you know, I'm gonna allow time to tell it.
Right.
Because that's usually how it plays out.
Of course.
Time is always gonna tell the thing that most people didn't want to say.
Right.
Get ready for combat. No escaping. Get ready for